Hey guys, I'm going to show you a quick way to make some kind of the equivalent of quick tenders or a number of things, a number of different names that they run by, but basically a fire starting tender. And you could pay up to almost $1 a piece for these things, depending on where you get them. And for some people, understand you don't have a lot of time and you may have a lot of money, but I think most people have more time than they have money. So one thing you can do to make some of these quick tenders or quick fire starters or fill in the blank. But basically, cotton is very flammable and it'll catch a spark really easy. The problem with cotton is that it burns up really fast, and so you want something that's going to give you a little bit more heat for a longer period of time. So basically what you're going to do, these cotton rounds, $1 for an 80 pack. And so you're paying almost $1 per, that's what they are. They're these cotton pads or cotton rounds, maybe for putting some kind of cleaner on or something to wipe your face with, or maybe clean makeup off or something. But that's all they are. It's a cotton round. And what I do is find old candles. What I do is go to secondhand stores, or if you're from Europe, you may call them charity shops, or garage sales, and find old candles. And you may pay a quarter or 10 cents a piece or something. And I prefer red because anything having to do with fire, I like red or orange and something easy to see. And so just buy up these, and for, I maybe paid at the most $1 for that. And that'll be plenty to do 80 of these cotton rounds. So for the equivalent of $2, I can have 80 of these things. Whereas if I bought them, from a maker, they would be well over 50 cents a piece. So this is something you can do. And the good thing about it is, if you do this, you've got a whole bunch of them. You can put them in your bug out gear, in your prepping gear, in your camping gear, and have a whole bunch of them on hand. That way you're more likely to use them, learn how to use them, and know exactly what you're doing in starting a fire. Whereas if you buy a little can of them for $8 or $7, you're probably not going to want to use them. And then you're not going to be real familiar with the type of tenders or materials that you have to start fires with. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this up, shave these up into smaller pieces, melt them down, and then I'll get to the dipping part. Okay, so I've got all this, for the most part, chopped up really fine. I do have some bigger pieces in there. But as soon as this melts, for the most part, I'm going to go ahead and start dipping some of these. And while I'm dipping those, these other bigger hunks will start to melt. So I'm not worried about that. So I'll get back to you in a moment. So I'm going to melt this down, and I'm going to take my pliers or multi-tool, and you can use needle nose pliers, or if you have kitchen tongs or whatever. Just what I do is just hold it about like that, dip it completely under, and I let it soak. Now a lot of people say just dip it in and out, and that way you have more cotton on the inside that's not completely soaked. But I completely soak mine, and you still have the place where the pliers were to be able to rip and pull it apart, and it still burns fine. What I used to do was get some wax paper, set wax paper out. That way when you dip it, you can just set it on the wax paper and it'll come right off. I think I'm out of wax paper, so I'm going to use a garbage sack, and it should do the same thing. So I can already go ahead and start because it's deep enough. So I just take them, and that's it. It's just that long, and it's already soaked through. Of course, the hotter it is, the faster it's going to soak through. Since it's pretty much melted already, I'm going to go ahead and turn it down to like medium to low, and that way it'll just keep it warm. Okay, so let me pull this off real quick. Basically, I have about 30 of these done already, and from just starting to heat up the wax to 30 of them was only about 10 minutes. So if you do 80, and if I think there's only 6 or 7 that come in the tin for $7. I guess you're kind of getting it at 1/10 of the cost. You're getting 10 times more than what you would for those prices. So, and of course these they harden up fairly quick. They're still kind of warm, so you might want to wait a while and use wax paper. I don't think this trash bag is working as good as wax paper would. So go ahead and lay them out on wax paper, and when you get a bunch of them done and you're sure they're set up and hardened, go ahead and take them all off, pile them up somewhere, and then you can throw them down again. Okay, so I've got here the first ones I did, which are really thick because I just doused them. These I let drain just a little bit more, and then you can tell as my color was leaving, because most of those candles were white on the inside and not red, but I like red or orange. But so this one's not soaked as much as these, and then this one I just barely dipped and pulled out, so it's about halfway soaked through. So I just wanted to show you a little different burn time on them, and see what the difference is between one that's super soaked and then one that's not, and kind of in between. And that way it'll give you an idea of what how much you want to soak them in it, or if you don't and you want to leave more exposed. Looks like a little bit of a problem there. That one lasted a lot longer than the others. I did kind of tear it up a little more and raise it up into kind of a triangle shape or pyramid shape, rather than the other ones just kind of sitting there. But really that should have caused it to burn out faster, being that it had more air and more surface area, but it kept on going. So anyway, so obviously the more wax you have, the slower or the longer burn time that you're going to get. And the less wax you have, the faster the flame's going to die down. Now, with these other three, even though this one was the least amount of wax in it, the flame died down a lot faster, and even though it lasted almost as long as these, it didn't have as much flame toward the end. So the more wax you have, the longer it's going to last, and the more flame it's going to have, but it's going to be harder to start. As you can see, I couldn't strike that one with the ferro rod, so just keep that in mind. Maybe something like this one, which was kind of more in between anything. Oh, there we go. Get a little more burn out of that one. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and hopefully you can save some money if you have some time. And so that cost me probably a total of $2 to $3, and cost me about maybe an hour and 20 minutes or so, just having to go dig up the old candles and get them all melted down, everything spread out, the wax paper. I did actually find some wax paper. 240 of these things, which if they're running about $1 a piece, if you buy them, I guess you would say commercially, that would cost you about $240. And I know you're getting a tin with it, which you can use as a char tin, but you might want to buy one of those once and then make your own to refill it. And I'm not saying anything against those who are selling it as a product. That's great. I'm glad they are, and hope that they can make money at it. But for those of you that would rather make stuff on your own, hope this video helped you. See you next time. Okay, real quick, I'm going to insert this clip because this is what I was going for. Now, while most of them, I ended up getting this where the wax completely soaked through, and I'm sure it depends on which kind of candle wax you have. And I have no idea the differences. I do know there's differences, but when I've done this before, this is what I was going for, was where I hold it with the pliers, it doesn't soak through, or typically didn't. Most of them did on this, but this first batch didn't. And that's where you're going to light it with your ferro rods, so it would instantly light right there, and that's a good place to go ahead and rip it and break it up a little bit. So you get one that's completely soaked, so it's going to burn hotter and longer, and if you can get that little edge right there where there's no wax soaked through, it's going to light instantly. So that's what you're looking for, and that first batch had quite a few of those, and I'm sure it has to do with the wax and maybe even the temperature of the wax, how liquid it is. Anyway, hope that helps.